Welcome everybody back to another episode of Karma's Crew Podcast. Today we got the special guest, inside scoop, 2006 Big Ten Player of the Year, Ohio State finest, Terrence Dowles. Everybody, we're gonna give him a round of applause. Myself here, Jared Sullinger and Adam Jardy. Appreciate everybody over at New Amendment for making this possible and welcoming y'all back and checking in with us. But we might as well just go right to you, TD. We can start it off a little bit with this. You're here, you're inside. You can tell us your thoughts on the program and the situation that we're in right now.
Yeah, I would probably take it back to the off season before when you're looking at the transfer portal, coming into this year. I think, having 10 new faces obviously affects the continuity of the program, the chemistry of the team. And I think our roster management, not knowing what we had coming in, it was kind of tough to kind of put together a team that with the pieces that we needed, actually. And I think now we're starting to figure out, obviously, with a couple skids we had this year, what we're lacking on the team and kind of, where we need to go going forward. Obviously our non-conference schedule was I think one of our tougher ones that we've had in the past. And I think our guys responded in the non-conference. We had our first game out in Maui, obviously was tough with San Diego State, being a veteran team. Just you can see the pieces still trying to get put together when you're playing a major team like that. Obviously, we had some games prior with like Robert Morris and smaller teams like that, but I don't think that gives you a test for the teams that we were getting ready to play. And I thought our guys responded the next couple of games, and then going towards obviously you're looking forward ahead to North Carolina and Duke and teams of that caliber. And we were happy at the time because we were right there. You know what I mean? And we thought we had the pieces, and then you get into the daunting task of trying to tackle the Big Ten Conference. And obviously you guys have played in the Big Ten, you know how tough it is and how rigorous their schedule is. So hitting that long road game skid and then having some heartbreakers like a Purdue. And then after that, it just kind of spiraled out of control. Yeah. And obviously Zed getting hurt and him not being himself in the past month and a half or so affects us, because when you go into this, when you go into the season, he's one of the guys that you count on being able to make plays for you. And when he's, not able to do that at a high level, it affects what you do on offense and defense within the team. So I think, there's been a couple things that obviously we mismanaged as a staff. But I thought that having and as good as your teams were, like Dave, your team, obviously the Fab Five, Jared, your class coming in, there hasn't been three freshmen that actually, started games in the Big Ten for us. Even when you had, your stellar class, Jared, like Aaron didn't start, Deshaun didn't start, we're out there with a starting. True. And then Dave, your class, I think you had, Daquan came off the bench, you came off the bench. Othello was an older guy, so he was able to play, but this is uncharted territory for us, in Ohio State. Is starting sometime three freshmen, and this past game, I think we started four, so you're starting four against, a potential number one seed in the NCAA tournament, who've probably obviously got the most dominating kind of guy in college basketball. So I don't think we as a staff expected us to, go into the season this bad. But I thought we had the pieces, not that we all had the pieces, but when you're relying on a freshman point guard to play 35 minutes, that's going to be tough. And then obviously some other pieces didn't fall in place the way we expected them to. So this is kind of the result of that.
No, you touched on it a bit. T. I said the Purdue game was like our backbreaker of the season. Started spiraling out of control. What was the difference between the first half of the season non-conference? Because I thought we played as a group. We were sharing the ball. We were scoring at a high level. We were defending at a high level. And then all of a sudden after the Purdue game, we stopped sharing the ball. We was less assists, more turnovers, a lot of one-on-one basketball. What changed in that month of basketball?
Well, obviously our confidence wasn't as high, for one. But for two, you're in conference play. You know how these coaches scout in the Big Ten. Like, we got some of the best coaches in the country and best coaching staffs in the country. So I think that's where, having a few more veterans kind of lead the team would help, because what do all good teams do? They want to take away your first option. They want to take away like what you want to do, what you love to do as a team. And I think when you're young, sometimes the play after the play, you kind of don't know what to do, or sometimes you don't know how to do it. And I think we've been struggling with that, just kind of reading the game and kind of freestyling a little bit more. I think we've struggled with that a little bit. And, the Big Ten, man, it's always a top one, top two conference. And the scouting it's just been killing us right now, especially when you have a young group like we do.
Terrence, I wanted to get your thoughts. Obviously, we all look at the Purdue game, and that really seemed to flip things. But for me, it seemed like the Rutgers loss on the road in overtime, that seemed to be as deflating as almost anything, because you lose the Purdue game, you lose Zed, you go and you lose at Minnesota or Maryland, excuse me. Then you come home and lose to Minnesota, and that obviously felt like a rock bottom moment given how they've gone. But then I thought you guys responded really well and played a game that you played well enough to win at Rutgers, but you didn't win. And it seemed like that with such a young team, as I'm reflecting, that seemed to be a real line in the sand where this team, what confidence it had really seemed to waver, especially from that point on. Is that a fair read of that? Did that game feel any different?
It did, I think, but I think it felt different more or less because we had a great preparation going into that game. That was one of those weeks where practice, we had a lot of juice, had a lot of pop. Guys were moving the ball, we were sharing the ball, playing great defense in practice, and most coaches will tell you you practice hard, it kind of carries over the games, and you practice well, kind of carries over the game. So it was a letdown because we felt really confident in going into that game and in our preparation. And, obviously when you're on the road, again, Rutgers is not a huge arena and it can get loud. And when you got freshmen their first time experiencing some of this stuff, that's kind of how it goes, And I think, Jared and Dave, you guys had a few veterans on the team to kind of guide you through. Obviously you guys had talent as freshmen and all that, but you guys all had a guy that was a little bit older that can lead the team as well and kind of help you prepare for those, situations and then how to go about it. And it's kind of, what we're lacking. Obviously Justice is a 6-year guy, but he missed a whole year, with no basketball. So him trying to find his footing and getting used to, he didn't play with any of these guys besides Zed, so it's just new territory for all of us. And hopefully looking forward into the future, we can have a foundation, a group of guys that we can keep and then kind of build on. And I think that's kind of, where college basketball is, just hoping you can keep some guys to build on, because obviously you want to get older. That's the biggest thing. If you look at the teams that are doing really well in the Big Ten, Northwestern, we know their success story this year. They're old. Boo Booey's been there for 4 years. Odige, like these guys are old and they've been through, like tough times. You know what I mean? They haven't had a winning season since 2017. And now this is like the year for them. If Indiana, Trace Jackson Davis is a 5-star recruit who is still at Indiana after 4 years. Like, you have to get older in this league. And if you don't, then you're going to always be in the middle of the pack, or obviously in our case, the bottom, if you can't get older and, keep some talent into your program.
Yeah, it's funny that you touched on that. It's literally kind of similar to my sophomore year. All the talent had left. We got new freshmen coming in. We got Jay Butt, who was up in the air here and there with how he was going to be a captain and helping the team out. And we struggled. We definitely struggled my sophomore year. We kind of, like you said, learned on the fly. And I think that's what we can see with this group that we have right here. I think the older classmen aren't doing what they normally do. So the lower classes and freshmen trying to step up and prove their work.
Yeah, you spoke on that, right? Like, Jamar, he was a teammate of mine as well. And I know he didn't kind of lead you guys the way
it wasn't connected.
A senior leader wasn't connected. And we're kind of having some of the same struggles. We want guys who particularly haven't led in the past, who haven't, it's not a natural thing for them. And we're trying to get it out of them because they're older to lead, and that hasn't been something that they're accustomed to. So they're also learning on the fly, the guys that we want to be leaders. And, as a player, I didn't realize how important that was.
For sure.
The leadership aspect. But I came into a program that had 3 or 4 seniors. So, like, I was able to just play my role and not have to worry about anything else because they took care of, like all of the other stuff. And kind of, as I got older, I kind of saw the benefit of it and kind of, try to emulate what I came into as a culture. So, obviously growing pains, but I think we have some talent here to grow. And I think Bruce is, although he's played it safe a little bit, as we can see, he's played it safe. I think there's more in Bruce's game. And, obviously he's a natural born leader. So we feel good with the point guard, position going forward.
Now,
as far as leadership goes,
you've been in this situation before. You had a season like this before Coach Mata came and started the Mata era. You was part of the first brick. What do you see that's going to turn around for next year? Because we're only going to get younger. We got another class coming in. Our freshman turning to sophomore. That it's not a lot of age behind that. So what do you see for next year with this group of guys, and who's going to take that step forward to become our leader, to become kind of our glue guy of the locker room? Because I think ultimately that's what we're missing as we go through this losing streak.
Well, Jared, I know you recall when Mata first got here, he didn't recruit him, but Jaquel Foster was it was his first year in the program. And that dude is a leader, he's tough as nails. And I think, sometimes it can just take one player. And that's literally what it took for us. It took one player for us. And obviously the influx of Jamar Butler, Matt Terwilliger, those guys, that class. And, but those are 2 defensive-minded guards who came in and, changed the complexion of the team, And obviously, we had renewed energy with Coach Mata stepping in and, it's always a new thing. Like when you get a new coach, you have a clean slate with every player, and they're able to prove their worth and kind of start all over again if they were in the doghouse or not with the previous coach. So, having that and then obviously having the influx of a couple players, which we're going to need this year as well, going into the portal. Hopefully we can find a Jaquel Foster, somebody who can obviously score points and then also lead, because we also still need, even though we have Bruce who will have a year under his belt, we still need some older leadership, and hopefully we can find that in the portal this year.
Terrence, as a member of the staff, how have you collectively tried to get through this? How have you seen Chris Holtmann? I see it in press conferences, and interviews and things like that. But how have you seen him struggle through this, and what has it been like as a staff trying to figure out how to write this thing and try to finish the season with something?
There's obviously been some frustration, right? There's it's not a consistent thing every game. It's like we can go into a game where after the game, it's like, damn, it was something different today. It was a different reason why we lost. The next game, it's a different reason. Yeah. So it's not something very consistent. Obviously, our rebounding needs to be better. Our defense needs to be better. We need to, execute. But it's always like we can't get three guys to play well on the same night. One night is Sean playing well. The next night is Bryce playing well. We need Bryce, Sean, and Justice playing well at the same time. And I think that's where you so it's been hard, but coach has been great, man. Like, he's still coaching them. Obviously it's our job to coach them, but we're encouraging them and trying to be positive and optimistic because, the season isn't over. We still feel that we have a team that can win some games. It just takes one. They got to see. It's like shooting a basketball. Like, if you're on a slump, you need to see one go in, and then it starts to roll. And obviously, we haven't seen that one go in a while. And we're still coaching them to win games. And we've seen crazier things happen, and at the end of the season in the Big Ten tournament and things of that nature. So we're going to coach them to the very end. And coaches explicitly told us, Chris Holtman, coach these guys like it's your last. You have to coach them to get them better. And he's not giving up on them, even if some have given up on themselves, but he's not giving up on them. He's still coaching them like it's the beginning of the season, and he wants them to get better. So we're still in the same mantra: get better each day. Put stack days. We're trying to stack days. And eventually we'll bust through. We will. I really do believe it. I don't think we're going to go over for the rest of the season.
Interesting what you just said there about even if maybe they've given up on themselves a little bit, because on the last episode, I think it was Sully was talking about how trying not to learn that it's okay to lose. That especially with such a young team with so many new faces, that understanding that these are not acceptable results, and trying to avoid picking up losing habits. How much have you guys had to fight against that and make sure that there's an understanding of we're trying to get through this, but also this is not the standard?
We've got some guys that are competitive now. We've got some guys that won in the past, and they might not be on this level, in college, but they're accustomed to winning. And it can be tough. It's if you've won in college, say you've gone somewhere and you won in college, say you only win 1 year, maybe 2 years. If you're really good, you're going to get drafted to a bad team. I've seen it, and I've listened to articles and listened to interviews where guys are I've won my whole life, and this is new for me, catching L's. It's the same with our freshmen. Bruce is Mr. Basketball. He's a state champion. Felix has played at a terrific prep school and got wins. Roddy the same way. So these guys have won in the past, and they have a winning mentality. They obviously they're freshmen, are going to make mistakes, but we got some guys that are competitive. And when you look towards the future, not to get ahead, but when you look towards the future, you can feel comfortable knowing that you got some competitive guys who hate losing. Felix is one of the most competitive dudes, man. He's visibly frustrated. Obviously going out there and not being able to do what he's normally done in the past. And obviously, his first start was against, maybe the future Naismith Player of the Year. So it was tough for him, but I like Felix. I like Bruce. I like, the rest of our crew. And, I go to battle with them every day.
I think it's great. I mean, for me, it's just to see the program down, it hurts everybody. Nobody expected this from the start of the season. And like you said, what we thought that we had coming out of Maui, it was okay. We're going to get into the Big Ten season, maybe struggle in the beginning a little bit and then start to, put it all together. But like we said, the Purdue game, I think it just dismantled us and it started to snowball. But now to finish out the season, I would say what is more of the goals and the purpose going on through the locker room and the guys' heads? And like you said, they're still fighting and battling, but is it for, all right, the guy next to me, or is it to get myself better type of mentality? I think that's going to be big into rolling over the next year.
Yeah. We've like all the coaching anecdotes you can think of, all the coaching mantras, we've kind of threw them out there already. And we've kind of, at this point, we're grasping at straws, trying to figure out different things.
Even lineups. We threw up how many lineups we done tried to throw out everything.
Lineups,
You're right.
So like
trying to give people
you would be a fool not to try something different, if this continues, like, the very definition of insanity, right, is doing the same thing. So if you don't change something up, obviously you're going to be looking insane. So obviously with the changes of the starting lineups, like we've been trying different things to see actually what works, see who can gain some confidence from different situations, see if Roddy plays a little bit better if he's in the starting lineup. Maybe Sean can give us a boost off the bench, or let's see if Bryce can give us a boost off the bench. We tried that. Like, we've tried literally everything as far as your lineups can go. And it's just, we haven't found the right formula yet, but we're still trying, and we're still preparing as if we're going into each game to win. Coach Mata used to say all the time, never get tired of preparing to win. And that's kind of what we're still doing, right? We're still watching the same amount of film, the same amount of practice time. Like, we're still coaching the same. Like I said, I think we're going to bust through at some point. They just need to see one win, man. They got to get in the win column at least once, and they'll see it.
Got a little trivia for you guys, because I just finished this research right before we started, but because you're talking about the lineups and the freshmen and all that, do you guys know the last time Ohio State started 4 freshmen in a game? We were all kids, I can tell you that.
Oh, I was about to say, I was about to say Greg didn't start though. That was that wasn't.
No, it wasn't your year.
Was it?
I would say it was probably in the 90s, mid 90s.
Yep.
Jim Jackson year?
Nope, not that far back.
No, it's like Mike Redd and them.
Almost.
I would assume so, right?
It's the 95,
or Sean,
95, 96.
Sean Stonerook, Damon Stringer.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Sean Stonebrook, Jermaine Tate, Damon Stringer, Jason Singleton all started in the final game of the season, a loss to Penn State. That team was 10-17 overall and 3-15 in the Big Ten.
Well, I'm not going to say nothing, but we don't want them memories back. We don't want those memories back.
Well, we do have
deja vu
now.
Deja vu right now. That's bad. But bad, man. All right, we got this little segment. We call it the Scout Report. We got 2 home games coming up. We got Penn State and Illinois game. We can't finish this month without a win. That's my whole thing right now. But I would say Adam and TD, you guys are down there in Columbus. So what would be the scouting report to come out with a W for one of these games? I don't know which one, but we need one. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Obviously, Penn State is a group they're old. They got probably 3 fifth-year guys, maybe, I believe. And they play small. They don't play a traditional big. So for us, going with our small lineup, maybe, and obviously putting someone bigger on Jalen Pickett. He's been someone that's given other teams problems. And I remember last year we had a slighter guard on him, and he kind of took advantage of that. So Bruce by no means is a slight guard. So I think we're okay with that. Isaac is another bigger guard who can, play some pretty good defense on Pickett. So active, I think, and Justice obviously has the height and the size that can kind of maybe, slow him down a little bit. But I think he's their X factor. He's their most important guy. He's gonna be the one we need to stop in order to get that W. So gonna have some mixed lineups, and I don't think This is a game that probably C plays a lot, or Zed if he plays.
If he plays,
I think this will be a game that we go a little bit smaller to get the W on that one. And then obviously Illinois, it's our second time playing them. Terrence Shannon and obviously giving up, catch and shoot threes from Coleman Collins, I think is going to be very important for us. But luckily they don't have a big that we would have to double. And then,
we've been talking about that all year on the podcast. That double stuff don't work.
Obviously our it's just we understand. We understand. Just getting out from the double, once he makes that pass, and then, our guys just sometimes they lose their minds and then they don't know what's the next position they need to be at. And I think that
we don't anticipate good enough at all. Literally, see the game, feel the game.
So I'm under my philosophy is kind of the big's going to get 60. He's going to get 60. He's going to have to get 60 to beat us. You know what I mean?
I've been saying that.
And just stop the shooters, right? Just focus on not letting them get open threes. I think that's kind of where I'm at. As a former big, I know how hard it is to go down there and bang every play and score every single play and make the plays in order to win the game. It's going to be tough. And I don't think most bigs in the country have the stamina to do that or the endurance. So that would be if I was creating a game plan, that would be hey, let this dude go for 50 and we're going to stop everyone else.
I've been saying that, T, because I feel like on one end, you got to bang the score, and then on the other side, you got to guard a pick and roll. So you're going to be tired to go on the other side and score.
Yeah,
so
and
I'm with you on that one.
Having to play in China has given me a different mindset because they give you the ball literally every single play, and they want you to score every single time or make the play. I just remember how dog tired I was after those games, having to do everything. So I know most bigs cannot do that. You know what I mean? So.
Well, the only thing I can really chime into that is Terrence, like you mentioned, they're an old team. Ken Palm has them as the oldest team in Division I men's basketball as far as D1 experience. So there's that.
Yeah.
Pickett's coming off a week where he averaged, I think, 36.
30-something, yeah.
He's just obviously is just playing at an incredible level. But the thing that I'm looking at right now, and this is something that Holtman mentioned on his radio show, or it might have been post game after Purdue, but I want to see if you guys can shoot the three better because at Iowa, you guys were decent. You're 8 of 15, and Sean had a lot to do with that. But you go back these last couple of games, it was 26% against Purdue, 20% against Michigan State, 1 of 14 against Northwestern. I know I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know, but if you're talking about playing teams that don't have the traditional big and they're going to be maybe spreading the floor and creating a lot of opportunities, I feel like you guys need to make some more threes to keep pace in games like that and stretch them out a little bit. And so I'm interested to see if you guys can knock down a few more of those because I feel like you have a few better shooters than what we've seen this year.
Well, that's one thing X's and O's cannot fix. We need them to shoot the ball better. And that, that's a personal thing. At the end of the day, I think they need to come in and not to say they haven't, but how do you bust out of a slump? You just got to work harder. You just got to shoot more. You know what I mean? And they'll fall eventually. We got some pretty good shooters. Sean is a good shooter. Bryce is a good shooter. And Justice can get really streaky. So they just have to get in the gym, shoot more. I think it's, repetition, and they got to see the ball fall once or twice in the game. And I think it'll snowball for us.
How hard is it to draw up a shot for a 3-point shooter in the Big Ten?
Well, because we don't have
John D.
a lot of guys who shoots a high percentage, we really, in our starting lineup, if I was an opposing coach, I would stick with Sean, chase him, and then kind of give up everyone else. Well, Bryce as well, but Bryce scores his in a different way.
Yeah.
Sean Sean is a catch and shoot guy, come off the screen type guy, maybe one dribble pull up, but he'd be the one I stick to, and try to make other guys kind of shoot the ball, and then that's where it comes in effect. Like, hey, Bruce, you got to knock down a couple threes. Roddy, you got to knock down a 3 or 2, and you got to keep the defenses honest. And we're encouraging them to keep shooting when you're open, shoot. And I think that's the most we can do. Try to draw plays that create open shots for them. And at the end of the day, it's their job to make it. Whether it's a layup or a 3, it's your job to get your feet set and shoot the best shot you can.
Now with this team that we have today, I know it's terrible looking into the future, but with this team we have today and the recruiting class we had that came in now, with the recruiting class that's coming in the future, how do you see these two classes meshing together? Because I feel like there's a lot of same pieces from this class and the next class, but I feel like, with somebody like a Devin Royal and
Hey, good.
That's Chinese internet, man.
went out.
There you go. Keep it going. Say it again. Somebody like Devin Royal.
Somebody like Devin Royal. How? Because he's obviously Clum's kid, my favorite of the whole class. Like, how somebody like him could come in and make an impact and find minutes with this basketball team with everything that we're going through right now.
Well, think about it. He plays the 4. He's a 4 who can eventually play the 3 at maybe later on down the line. But he's been productive everywhere he's been, whether it's EYBL, whether it's in high school. He's always giving you, 16 and 8, that type of production. Where do we lack? Where do we struggle? We struggle rebounding the ball. He's going to help us tremendously in that regard. And he's a natural 4. This is what he's been playing his whole life. So, we're playing 3s at 4s right now at the 4 position. And I think having that, he's going to help tremendously. But, we're going to have to get a player, and a couple actually, in the portal that'll help us. I think we need a dynamic guard in the portal, a guard that can play both positions, but also can go ahead and get you 15, 16, 17. And then obviously we need another 4, because counting on the freshman again, obviously, as we've seen, it's tough in the Big Ten. You know what I mean? So those are the probably most important positions we're going to need going forward that we don't have as far as, veterans coming into that freshman class. So, add some pieces to that, and hopefully our freshmen now make that jump, right? That's what we're counting on, them making a jump to where now they're more comfortable and they get better this off season. So they have spring and summer to get in the gym. And, we got workers, so I have no issues with them getting better. I feel like they will, because just they love the work. They love the grind. They love the process.
I was just saying last week, we got to do our part. We got to get back down there and get in the gym and play against them and get those guys going. Because literally, when I used to come down and play, it was you, it was Sconey Penn, Mike Red, and they like, if y'all lose, y'all off the court. So that competitiveness and that nature of competing already was instilled in us, like in the summertime when we got there. And I for sure feel like we backed off some.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about that. Getting the open gym runs back to where they used to be. I think guys need to play more, and obviously having
that's this generation.
Jared, you back. I just think you having you guys back, and not just for Vet Week, but just having you back, periodically just to hoop, you know what I mean? And, man, those runs used to be classic, man.
For sure.
I was actually, me and Coach Deeper was talking about that. Like, man, I remember we used to have 2 courts going, and sometimes we had to go to the other gym because there was so many dudes here. You know what I mean? Like, losers go down there. So, we need to get that back. I think that'll help the current team move forward, playing against pros and guys who've done it at a high level. That'll help, big time. Because right now they get the Kingdom Summer League, which is great, right? But we know how summer leagues go, right? They don't. They don't play. It's more entertainment.
Highlight
they don't play
show.
The type of defense we get in the open gym. where dudes are talking smack, they're in your ear, they're beating you up, you know what I mean? Fouls ain't being called. Like, we need them to get adjusted to that, and I think we'll be a lot better. So putting the pressure on you guys, the older guys, man. I know you still got a couple years left in those legs, Lighty. Jerry, you still got a few get wrapped in the gym. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to be old.
YMCA
player out there.
I'm going to have a WD-40 ready for you, man. Get that knee going out, man.
All right. Well, we're going to get into this last part. This last segment is called Word on Campus. I'm not on campus, but everybody's hearing the word on campus. I probably get like 4 or 5 messages after each week. What's up with Coach? What's up with such and such? But for me, I didn't go through the situation. You went through the situation of switching coaches, and for me, I think it's kind of crazy. I don't know what fans want or expect, but this is his first losing season right now. So I mean, it's really an outlier for us.
A coach.
Exactly, it's an outlier for us, and there's so many moving pieces that it's just this generation, this day and age. Everybody wants the head cut off as soon as something goes bad. Scared of a little, toughness, a little fight.
Adversity. Yeah.
Well, listen, they're talking. I'm not just gonna talk on. I mean, if you look in Chapel Hill right now, they're like, yo, like there's rumors and like talks of him being let go. He just led him to the national championship game last year.
That's crazy.
Now they're underachieving. So like, fans are gonna be fans, and we understand that. And no one wants more from this team than the head coach. Like he expects excellence, and he didn't get it this year. And like you said, David, it's an outlier. Like he's proven that he can coach at this level. He has the confidence from the AD, Gene Smith, and I think Gene understands. Like you get rid of a coach now, you have a top 5 recruiting class this year. They're freshmen. You have one coming in next year. With the portal and the way it is constructed today, like it's probably not good. You look at LSU now.
Put yourself back.
They had to go. They had to go to the streets to get dudes. They had to go get dudes, like 12 of them. You know what I mean? So like, you could be in that situation. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying like, I think Gene understands the landscape of college basketball today, and which is the reason why he gave Coach Hope an extension in the off season, last year, because he believes in him. He believes in the classes that we have, and he knows that we will get it done. Like we will. But we just have to be aggressive in the portal this year. We really do. Be aggressive, and I think things will take care of itself. But and Coach understands, like, hey, we're not. This is Ohio State. We're not, and obviously he's following big shoes, right? Like Dad took him to 2 Final Fours, multiple Big Ten championships. Coach Holman knows we need to hang some banners. We need to hang a Big Ten championship. We need to get past, the first round of the NCAA tournament, get into the second weekend. He understands all those things. He wants that more than anyone else. So I think those are our goals. Those are our goals as a program, is to get to that. Let's get it back to that level, man. You're a multiple Big Ten champion. Jared is too. Myself, it's about collecting rings, and we're trying to collect more this year, or in these coming years. Still got a chance this year too.
We do. I'm always optimistic.
Just throwing that out there.
I'm always optimistic.
I'm all for that too.
But I definitely hope, man. We definitely appreciate you coming out and talking to us, giving us all that inside scoop and keeping it real, man. I appreciate you as well. My visit down to Ohio State, you showed me a good time. Made me want to be a Buckeye as well too. So all love, to my guy T. House. We gonna save that for
we're gonna say that for another time, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have a different podcast for that one.
After dark.
Hey, there were two guys. They wanted the guys to commit. Jared's brother, who knew the party scene and where to go.
This is how it was.
Hey, take care of him. JJ, for that visit, he rented a Chrysler 300. Like he had it. Like he had y'all lace. You know what I'm saying? Like he really went to the T, man. You know what I mean? Like he really made sure this program was in good hands.
That was all of y'all class. So we definitely appreciate y'all.
And that's what we need going forward, fellas.
Yeah, we gonna.
I appreciate y'all, man. Everything y'all do.
For sure.
Yep.
Get back with us next week on another episode of Carmen's Crew Podcast. We appreciate y'all having us. say sign off.
Beyond the Big Ten is a network of podcasts that aims to be your go-to resource for all things Big Ten. We cover the entire conference with shows hosted by ex-players and athletic alumni, aiming to be your go-to source of information and entertainment for your favorite team. Hosted by ex-Big Ten players, media, and insiders, our podcasts are focused on giving diehard fans and those alums an inside scoop about the teams and people that make the Big Ten Conference one of the most watched and most talked about conferences in sports. We're excited to talk Big Ten basketball with you wherever you may be. Subscribe now.